live. What's going on, everybody? We're back. Not with Neomagnetic, as per our schedule. What happened to that? I don't know. Apparently, people have lives and commitments and all kinds of weird things that I've never heard of.
How dare they?
Yeah, I know, right? How dare they?
Selfish.
That's right. We should have a priority list, and right at the top of that list, it should be crit and miss role-playing games.
Definitely, 100%.
But that's okay, because no matter what happens, the show must go on, and we endeavor to bring the very best live streaming content right to your eye holes, you people at home. And that's why we're back with another episode of Critical Conversations. And this week, we're going to be featuring a very special guest indeed. You may have guessed it by the fact that he's right there. That's right. We have the multi-award winning miniature painter, crit and miss alumni, and all-round good guy Froth from Froths Minis. How you doing, my man?
I'm really well, thank you very much, Sven. And how are you?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty good as well. I've got my very last strongbow. I've got good company, and what more could a man ask for?
Not much more than that. Maybe another strongbow after that one, but you know, you can only get what you can get.
Or 3 or 4, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
The gin bottle might make an appearance later on tonight.
We'll see how we go. Oh, fantastic.
Just wanted to say thank you for jumping on, you know, on such short notice. You were, of course, meant to be with Neomagnetic tonight, so
yeah,
it's not like you moved heaven and earth to be here, but I do appreciate the fact that you jumped on. I know it can be daunting, you know, last minute to change your schedule, especially if you're like me, when you're on the spectrum, like when things change last minute and you're pulling out your hair. This is a wig.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell.
I can't. Looks really good. So I want to know who your wig person is. Because I need a bit of extra hair up here too.
It's an industry secret. Mod's been bugging me for years, but I won't tell him.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Cool.
Well, you know, as you may or may not know, we brought back Critical Conversations for 2024 because I love just being able to sit down, chat with some friends, catch up with the community. So, you know, if you're watching this live, feel free to drop any questions in the chat for my man Froth here. If you have anything that you would like to know about either, you know, his experience with tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, miniature painting, or just life advice in general, drop a message in the chat right there or in the Discord. Either way, we'll endeavor to answer whatever questions you may have. And speaking of questions, for 2024 and the return of Critical Conversations, I've brought in a new thing called the icebreaker question. Normally we do banter up top, but for Critical Conversations, I like to put the person in the seat opposite me on the spot.
I'm sweating already.
With a hard-hitting question. You should be nervous.
Oh, all right, let's go.
If your hands aren't shaking, then I haven't done my job. Yeah. Good.
I haven't even had a drink. No, it goes the other way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that usually the other way around? Yeah, when you haven't had a drink, your hands are shaking. Yeah, Michael J. Fox. And here's our icebreaker question. Was that the guy from...
No, I think he's got Parkinson's, so it's definitely shaky, but it might be a little on the...
on the controversial side.
Incorrect side.
Look, I've been known to cross a couple of lines here or there. It's all in good fun. If he wants to get in touch with me, I'll be happy to apologize to him in person. Onto our icebreaker question.
Definitely an icebreaker. Was that the icebreaker?
That was a good icebreaker, but we're gonna have to power on with the question. Otherwise, I'm gonna leave a lot of people very upset. Yeah. What is the most embarrassing moment in your life that you can think of right now?
Oh, easy, straight up. I was in about, I think I was year 1 primary school, and the school was doing a play, like it was one of those Stedford, is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Like a big concert thing, right? And it was like in this massive hall auditorium thing. When I say massive, I mean it was like tiered. It had like 3 or 4 tiers.
Grandstand.
Bigger. It was like thousands of people. Anyway,
were you opening for Kanye West? What was going on?
We were opening, but not Kanye West, no, sadly. We were doing a play of The Three Bears.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Hard to mess that one up, but please do go on.
Yeah. You'd think so, and it gets even better. My role in the play was a tree. So legit, my job was
stand completely
just to
still.
stand there.
Just to stand there.
All right. If you can stand there for 20 minutes, you're good. You got it, right? So, needless to say, before it even started, I made a mistake. I don't know if I can swear here, but I think I already have.
Yeah, you can. It's fine.
Right?
Look, if anyone's kids are watching this right now, come back when you're 18.
Just put some bleeps in there. So I'm in this giant cardboard tube, right? It's like a toilet roll, but human size. Little human size, because I was a kid.
We'll get into where you got the giant toilet roll from later on.
Yeah. Went back in time and stole a T-Rex's toilet roll paper. And I had like some green crepe paper on my head and on the end of my arms and stuff.
Yeah,
I had to wear this like brown skivvy kind of thing, so it matched in with the tree look. And so we all walk out on stage. The lights are all dark, and the crowd's sort of talking and everything like that. We get into our positions, and then right before they flick the lights on, they're like, someone makes an announcement like, "We're about to start the play," or something like that. So anyway, dead silence. At that moment, just hits me like a rock. I have to do a fart, and I'm like, I think I can sneak this one out. I don't think it'll be too bad. Didn't realise how mic'd up we were.
Giant toilet roll, also very good for acoustics.
Yep, definitely, as I found out. And I thought I'd just let this small little fart go. It turned out to be just an absolute ripper, and it reverberated through the entire centre. And I'd have to say, every single person just lost it in laughter. The whole place was in hysterics. And then, like 1 second later, the lights come on. And then there's me and my face, and the rest of me would have been brown, but my face would have been red. And I'm pretty sure everyone's just gone, "Oh, that was you." Just nailed me. So then I had to stand there for 20 minutes doing nothing and just cop it. Cop it sweet.
That is
character building.
Phenomenal. Yeah, character building.
Pretty good. Yeah.
I guess you didn't do the method acting thing and go out and study trees in the wild before you went. I see.
No, none of that.
That's where you went wrong. If you'd spent a little bit more time out in the forest studying trees and then in their natural habitat and their behaviour, maybe you would have known that they don't drop farts.
That trees don't fart.
Yeah. Well, look, when you're acting, it's always good to add a little bit of like personal flavour to whatever role that you happen to be.
There was some flavour in that role, mate. I can tell you.
Oh man.
That's it. We got him.
I regret my words instantly. As soon as that left my mouth, not unlike the air leaving your anus at the time, I regretted that instantly. Anyway,
perfect. Yep.
It says something about the character of a person when you ask them what's the most embarrassing moment that they can think of at the time, and they have one straight off the top of their head, and then not only are they willing to share that with you, but they're willing to share it live on Twitch in front of millions and millions of viewers, and on TikTok and YouTube, and all kinds of places where I'm going to upload this for the kids to see.
Bring it on. I have no shame left. I'm 40 years old. I've had 2 children. Anything that can happen has already happened.
Send us your emails. I'll forward them on to Froth. Or Of course, you can find Froth himself at Froths Minis on social media as well. So if you want to email him personally, let him know what you thought of his embarrassing story. Maybe just type LOL in your face.
in your role.
In your role.
In your tube, bro.
It's a double entendre too, because you're in a tube role, and you were also in the role of a tree. So it's good play on words.
On a roll.
And we're on a roll. And that's why we are the best in the business, baby, because we know how to play with words. All right, let's get on with this, shall we? Let's talk about what brings all the boys to our particular yard.
I think it's Mark's milkshake.
It is Mark's milkshake. Make sure you check out that particular clip on Twitch right now. It is phenomenal. But you've been part of the verse, as we like to call it, since the very, very early days. And you've been one of our biggest and most vocal supporters over the years. You've helped us out with a couple of fundraisers as well.
Yeah, we've done a bit of that. It's been good. I've quite enjoyed being a part of the verse, and I think we do a good thing bringing what we are to the community. I mean, we could get all deep and philosophical about
let's do.
We are, right? Okay, let's do. I sort of feel like we're a bit of a mix. Some of us are older, some of us are in the middle. There's a couple of young'uns like Gracie and Ali and that. God bless them. And we all let a little bit of ourselves shine out a bit beyond the character as well. And we get to see a little bit of what we are as real people too. So yeah, we are real people, and we can have serious lives in the real world. But it's really nice to be able to move away from the stress and the chaos in the real world and say, you know what, it's okay to have that going on in your life, and it's okay to also want to do what it is that you like to do and have some fun. And if that's what this is for you, then that's awesome. Don't stop doing it.
Yeah, it's like from the very beginning, one of the things that I've been trying to convey and emphasize in what we do here on the channel is there's a lot of channels out there, and everyone has their own thing, and that's cool, but they start the episodes, they're straight into character, they're straight into story, they roll through it, you get to see these characters develop, and then they're playing D&D, and then they finish, and that's sort of it. But the channels that really engage me, the things that really grab my attention and stay with me are those channels and that content that showcases more than just the game. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people on Twitch. It's when you are streaming and when you're making content on social media and all that kind of stuff, the actual content that you're making, maybe less so on things like TikTok or whatever on the socials, but especially on Twitch, the subject of the content that you're making, whether it be Dungeons and Dragons, whether it be just chatting streams like this, whether it be what's popular these days, Baldur's Gate 3, Helldivers, whatever game that you're playing, it actually takes a back seat, in my opinion, to yourself. And one of the reasons that I can say that is I got evidence to back it up. No one remembers, the big names in streaming because of the games that they played, because they probably played a whole range of different games. They remember the people, they remember their antics, they remember those people's personalities.
Yep.
That's what comes first. The game is secondary to that.
Thanks, man, I was getting a bit hot in here.
Yeah, I thought so. It's these headphones. So it's one of the philosophies that I sort of founded Crit and Miss with at the very beginning, is to not only showcase the game, which is phenomenal in and of itself, but the people playing the game. That was more important to me, because There's hundreds of D&D channels out there. There's hundreds of tabletop RPG channels out there. Why are people going to watch this particular one? Well, it's because of the people that are playing the game. So I made it my mission very early on to showcase those people. That's why Critical Conversations is such an important, integral part of that, which is why we needed to bring it back. Why I love sitting down and chatting to you now, because people get to see the player, the person portraying the characters. I want people to feel like we are, it sounds weird, but like they know us personally, like we're friends. You know what I mean? That's the most engaging content to me.
Lift up the veil and see the person behind the character.
Yeah. And that's why in the games that I DM, the games that I run, there's a lot of out of character stuff. We're shooting shit, we're making out of character jokes, we're laughing, we're doing all that kind of stuff. Yes, we go back into character, but I don't edit out those out of character moments because they're the moments that really make something special. Speaking of things that I DM and things that I run, I was just thinking, like, what was the first stream that you were on, to put it that way, on the channel?
Oh. I think it would have been, I can't remember what we called it, but they were like little one-offs, and it was like a battle thing. I remember those we used to do a long time ago. It was like a one-off, one night, kind of like an arena battle type thing. I can't remember what we used to call them. It was heaps of fun.
Was that the first stream that you were on? Was Battle Among Mates the first one?
No, I don't know if it was called that. I think it was a little bit after that.
Okay, all right.
Battle Among Mates would have been a mod thing.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was probably. It might have been. It might have been. Might have been Battle Among Mates.
We had Battle Among Mates. I think we only did one of those. It was an extremely long episode. It was completely ridiculous, completely chaotic, and I would expect nothing else from something that mod ran, and it was amazing. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Mark had Tales from the Roguelite Tavern.
I think it was one of them.
It was one of those ones?
Yeah. I did a bit of Tales, so I remember that. Mm-hmm. But I think between Battle Amongst Mates and Roguelite Tavern, there was these little, almost like PvP arena things. But anyway, something along those lines.
I'll have to go back and check the archives, because I have pretty much everything recorded on the old computer as well. So I might have to go back and check that out.
I remember you were like, hey, does anyone want to jump in? And I was like, oh, maybe. And I was super timid about it too. And I was like a bit nervous. And I was like, look at these superstars, they stream and stuff. And then I'm pretty sure I messaged you and I'm like, hey man, yeah, I'm keen, but I don't know if I'm like stream ready. Like, and I haven't played that much. And you were like, have you got a camera? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And you're like, have you got a microphone? I'm like, yeah, I do. And then you're like, well, you're ready. Let's go.
You got everything you need.
Awesome. Let's just jump in, man. And I don't think I said much, and I was very reserved, but didn't take me long to open up.
Yeah, and that's a while ago now. And anyone who's been keeping up to date with everything that's going on the channel will have seen you on a bunch of different things. You've been on Out of the Abyss. You've been on Far Beyond the Void. You've been on Neomagnetic. Am I forgetting?
Red Light. No, they're the main ones.
They're the main ones.
So yeah, because Far Beyond the Void turned into.
No, Out of the Abyss turned into Far Beyond the Void.
Sorry, yeah, getting confused there. And yeah, there was the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle.
Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, of course.
A bit of that, that's on ice. That's cool. Yeah, I think they're the main ones.
They're the main ones. And you've had appearances here and there on, I think, Forces of Nature, World Render, all that kind of stuff as well.
I did a couple of cameos on World Render, because I played a long campaign, not long, but longish, probably short in D&D standard terms, but with Mark at Elric and Fizz, and it was him sort of testing it out, his world and how it all worked and operated. So I had a character in that. So when I came back into his campaign there, it was that same character coming back in Sergeant Bernie, or his name is Rage McBurnface, Dragonborn with fire breath. Of course.
Yeah, you love your Dragonborn, don't you?
Yeah, that one was pretty cool. I went through a bit of a phase with them. At the moment, I'm playing in another campaign, a druid, which I haven't really done before, but I'm really liking that character. He's really cool, just like a chill kind of character, but he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. So yeah, just playing around with that. I'm enjoying it.
I would expect nothing less. Of course, you played a Dragonborn as well in Far Beyond the Void, Dran Balas. And Far Beyond the Void, of course, probably, I'm going to put this out there, it's probably going to be making a comeback sometime later on this year. So
there you go.
You've made so many characters, including Dran Balas. What's your process when you're making characters? I know there's a lot of people out there who look at character creation from a completely different angle, and like I said, I want to showcase the people playing the game. How do you come up with a character, and how's that changed over time?
It has, and I think that's such an important topic too, because I think when I first started playing, I sort of felt a little bit under pressure to have a good character mechanically.
You were, yeah.
And my thought process was a lot about the min-maxing and what can I do to get the most out of this character build and things like that. Now I pretty much go for the complete opposite. I'm even a guy that's kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to roll up some dice and see what it gives me, and I'll run with that and just see what happens. But if it's going to be a long-term campaign, I like to. When I say long-term campaign, I'm pausing there and thinking because I've been in long-term campaigns, but there's been heaps of TPKs in them. So in those ones, I'm like, that's the kind of campaign where I'll say, just roll the dice and I'll play whatever.
Yep.
Just make it up as I go. But if it's a longer-term campaign, I like to build the character in my mind of what that character is like. And the mechanics really come second. And maybe even third. I don't know what the second is, but it's not that important. if you've got a good character, that's it. If you got a good, that's right. Yeah, if you got a good character, then and you're feeling it with the role play and the personality of that character, then that's doing half of the work for you as well, I think. So definitely for me, it's been a journey of getting into the spirit of the character rather than trying to mechanically build. It's kind of more fun when you don't have the tricks up your sleeve.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you wholeheartedly there, and it's the only reason why I asked you to be on Critical Conversations, because I like people who just, what's the right word? They just confirm my own personal opinions.
There you go.
What's the word? I know there's
validation or something.
There's a word there. I don't get what it is. Just as long as everyone agrees with what I say, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. No, and I think that's actually that carries on to it's good advice for people picking up Dungeons and Dragons for the very first time, or tabletop role playing games. It's this is my personal opinion, your personal opinion as well. Is come up with your character concept. Come up with a hook for your character. Come up with a personality first, and then design the mechanics around that. And those mechanics do not have to be what's the right word here? They don't have to be synergistic perfect. It can be. You don't want to make a rubbish character, because it is after all it's a team sort of player based game, but don't go out there to try and make a character that is broken or mechanically powerful. Come up with the personality first, make the mechanics around that, make them work, make them make sense. And you're going to have a hell of a lot better time, in my opinion.
And I think that's where the DM comes in a little bit as well, right? So you can, if you're new, make the character that you want to play from a role play point of view. Put the mechanics together as best you can, and most of the time, DM like yourself, Sven, or other DMs will look at it and go, "Oh, hey, that's cool. What are your thoughts around this, and that?" You know?
Yeah. Other DMs will do that. I don't, because frankly, I don't care.
And back to the character again. but that I know some people that do that, not to sway you, but just to get you to think about it and prompt along.
Yeah.
There might be a piece that you've missed out of your character build, and they can have a look at that for you.
Yeah, people jumping on for the first time. Of course, nowadays you've got D&D Beyond, which is going to, help you do all those calculations and all that kind of stuff. But, a good DM. I know why you don't, Sven, because everyone comes to you and goes, "Oh, can I have that level 20 magic item?" And, that's ultra legendary rare, and you just break the game. No, if you're playing in one of my games, just assume that my answer is going to be no. But in the most personally insulting and horrible way you can think of, that's probably going to be my answer. So if you could just think of what's the most hurtful thing I could possibly say to you while denying you the thing that you want, that's going to be my answer if I'm your DM. So we can skip the middleman and just go straight to you insulting yourself, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be a weird stream, wouldn't it?
No, you're right. It's a process that a good dungeon master, wants to be a part of to help their characters and help their players sort of find where they fit, because a dungeon master is a storyteller. They have a lot of information that the players don't have. A very famous one, it's a thing that everyone knows. Like, if you have a player that's a ranger, and they make a ranger whose favorite terrain is the jungle. If you're playing in the desert, maybe let that player know, hey, maybe you don't want to choose the jungle.
Just checking, but did you know? Yeah, did you know that? Okay.
Probably not going to be spending that much time in the jungle. It's not a jungle heavy campaign. So that's what a good dungeon master does. I don't do that, but that's what a good dungeon master does. All the good dungeon masters I've ever played with, Luke, Christian, blah blah blah. They're all out there. They know what they're talking about, and I just make whatever character you want, and I'm just gonna kill them anyway.
Deal with it.
Deal with it. Speaking of making characters, we're having a little bit of conversation before we went live, and I think it's time, because I'm not a patient man. We need to come back to this subject. We're talking about what classes we would be as people. I know a lot of content creators have had this conversation before, but I want to know your opinion. Let's start off with yourself. What class do you think you would be?
Oh, it's easy for me. I'd definitely be a barbarian.
Oh, okay.
100%.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't have a lot of charisma. I'm just rough around the edges, and I just say how it is, and I just go balls deep into things. Someone
clip that. No, that's okay. Barbarian. Okay, I dig it. I thought it was because of your gigantic.
I'm a little bit done with that.
Your gigantic biceps.
I don't know. I'm still working on that, mate. See me again in another 10 years, and maybe I'll have some.
I don't know, man. I think you sell yourself a little bit short. I don't think charisma is your dumpster. I think there's a lot of people out there who would pay good money to listen to you talk for a couple of hours. Definitely not on my channel at the moment, looking at the viewer count. But hey, that's a me problem. That's not a you problem. Now that's
a Monday night problem.
That's a Monday night problem. I guess it is. Let's bounce that ball around. See what we come up with. That's a saying. I just made that up. What would be my class if you had to?
Ooh, if I had to guess yours?
Yeah.
That's really tough, man. Let me just roll some dice here.
I think I just broke my fucking chair.
That's not cool. Well, you fix that.
Shit.
And as long as the pole didn't break through the See,
No.
that could be a real problem.
You would have seen a different facial expression were that the case. No, I think I've just. Oh no, there we go. That's better.
I'm thinking somewhere between.
Here we go.
Like a cleric and a fighter.
A cleric and a fighter. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, which is a weird mix.
Love to hear the justification for that one.
Because I know you like fighting and stuff like that, and you keep fit, right?
I'll try to.
Yeah.
I just installed that light over there the other day. That one there.
Speaking of tickets to the gun show.
And see that one over there too.
Oh, that's lovely, yeah. Which way are we going? Which way do I go, Sven?
We just look both ways.
The dark way. Yeah, and I don't know, you got some magic about you. So, cleric, I was going to say almost wizard fighter, but that's just, I don't know. I'd say... I don't know. It's hard to pick.
Remember, I'm judging you by every single thing that you say, so it has to be exactly perfect.
I really don't care if you do. It's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Yeah, that's it. Cleric, you're a cleric fighter.
Cleric. I'm a holy man.
Yes.
So I guess what you're saying is the words that are coming out of my mouth aren't just my words. They're the literal words of God.
Have you heard the word of our Lord and Savior?
The flying spaghetti monster.
I was thinking more about the magic side, not the religious side. So yeah, maybe I'd change that. Maybe you'd be more like a sorcerer, half fighter.
Half sorcerer fighter. I dig that. Maybe even a little bit of warlock. Maybe I'm in a path with a darker power.
Ooh.
Maybe that's the secret to all of my success.
I feel like that's cheating now. I feel like I should have asked you what you think I would be before you did. But it's too late now because I've already elaborated and now you'll just go along with whatever I said.
Exactly. That's what I do. I'm the interviewer, not the interviewee. Yeah.
This is true.
And that's why I do it. So people don't ask me the hard-hitting questions and I'm not the person getting put on the spot. You don't want to see me improvising. It's not good for anyone.
Well, I've seen you improvising. It's great.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe it is. Check out the last episode, or the first episode, I should say, of Beware the Witching Hour. You'll see me improvising a few lines on there, and it is phenomenal. All right.
Even if I do say so myself.
I do say so myself because I'm a holy man, and whatever I say goes. That's
the word of our Lord.
It's the word of our Savior. Let's move on to a couple other questions here. This is, after all, a D&D tabletop RPG channel first and foremost. We do some other streams from time to time, but let's talk about tabletop RPGs, even though we've been doing that for the last 40 minutes or so. Talk to me. What was your first tabletop RPG experience? How did you get started in this particular madhouse of choice?
Yeah, it was a very long time ago. I think I was about 5 or 6 maybe. Was hanging out with some family friends. We were having like a sleepover kind of thing, We'd camp out. We didn't go into the bush or anything. It was just like at a friend's house that they lived in the bush, so we kind of just hung out on the fringe in a tent.
It's not really how camping works, but I guess things were different back in 1963.
Man, there was a tent, right? That's close enough. And we were by torchlight. So, and one of these family friends had D&D, and he just started getting into it. And he was like, "Hey, do you want to play D&D?" And there was a couple of us there, and started playing through it with them. And I remember thinking to myself, "Wow, how amazing is this? What a wonderful, world of imagination." I probably didn't know the word imagination back then, but that's what it would translate through to now. And I just remember just being able to have that platform to explore my own imagination a bit, you know, which was cool, and it was fun and it was something different. But I only played once or twice with them, and then I think they moved on to other things, and over time the families went, or the family friends went different ways and did different things. I think they moved away or something like that. And then they found motorbikes and girls and drinking and things like that. As you do. But
I didn't.
that was, yeah. Well, yeah, I might have. Might have found a couple. So, and then I'd pretty much forgotten about it most of my life, and it wasn't till might have been about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'd had kids and was spending a lot of time at home and doing different things, and I had a bit of a problem with my back as well, and that was sort of getting me down a bit. But I was getting a bit philosophical at that time as well, and I was thinking about how we are in our adult lives, and as we go through our adult life, I think day by day, and it's not something we choose to do, but life almost forces us to choose to make other decisions that are not as imaginative. Like if we think about our work, for example, I'd like you to come in every day and repeat this process again and again and again and again, and I want it done that particular way forever. There's not a whole lot of imagination in that. I think you can use imagination, but putting it into practice is not so much. So I'm looking for opportunities in life as I age to use my imagination more, so that I can go, maybe not physically, but mentally, a little bit back towards some of those cool elements of my childhood life.
Yeah, you've brought up a topic that's something that I've spoken to people about in the past. It's like when you're kids, you know, you've got kids of your own, and
Yep.
surely you encourage your children to be as imaginative and creative as possible, and it's something that
Yep.
is valued and encouraged in children. And then somewhere down the line, that creativity, that imagination gets stifled in favor of, the grind, the day-to-day sort of thing. And everyone lives on a spectrum of personality. There are people out there who can do that day-to-day thing, maybe not repetitively, but they can do that day-to-day thing and do it well, and they thrive in that environment and they're healthy in that environment. But there's other people out there who are just, they're somewhere further down the line on that spectrum. They cannot
Yep.
they cannot exist in a way where they don't get the opportunity to engage that creativity. They don't get the opportunity to engage in imagination. For some people it's easy, for some people it's a lot more difficult. And you know, a lot of people who are members of the verse are familiar with Ali, Alicia, also, you know, Legend of the Critverse. Hope we see you back on the channel again very, very soon. She recently did a study on how Dungeons and Dragons can help people with, mental health related issues, I guess. And I think a lot of that comes down to that very, very real concept that some people need that opportunity in their life to be able to engage their imagination, to be able to engage their brain in such a way. Otherwise, it's going to cause very real problems. Very, very real problems.
Yeah.
The way our society has sort of changed after, the Industrial Revolution, has sort of created an environment that is not healthy for a lot of people. It's not conducive for those people who are creative. Go out there and find those people who are lucky enough to sort of realize that they need that creative outlet earlier in their life, and they've made art storytelling and all that kind of stuff, their profession, you know, 99.90% of them are struggling financially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we just don't really have a place for the amount of people who need that creative outlet. And that's why D&D and tabletop role-playing games are so crucial to a lot of people out there, to be that creative outlet. And it's not only those people, everyone can benefit from having a time in their life where they can sort of set aside all that serious business and sit around and, you know, pretend to be something that they're not. And we have the benefit these days as well of, it doesn't have to be wizards and knights and halflings and dragons. There's so many tabletop RPGs out there that you can play. You don't want to be a wizard, you want to be elves, it's fine. You know, play Warhammer, play Call of Cthulhu, Delta Green. There's all kind of role-playing games out there that you can play that, you know, will suit your particular individuality. So yeah, I think it's a really good point. And, you know, we should say, hope to encourage as many people as possible to, you know, endeavor to play those games and indulge in that childlike imagination.
Couldn't agree more. Such a wide and very deep topic. And there's been so much stigma around those kind of things for so long. Like, hey, if you're not playing football and drinking 20 cans on a Friday night and, you know, or on a slab, then you're not a man.
Yeah.
You know, our perspective. And you do that stuff. Oh, that's, you know, that's what nerds do. That's what geeks do. But it's coming full circle. People are more understanding now. It's quite a cool thing to do, and that's what I'm loving that about the world at the moment. So yeah,
I'm hoping that we can do our part to sort of break down those barriers and break down those expectations of what creates like a good person. Because at the end of the day, you can be the best person in the world, like in business or finance or lawyer, but you can still be an absolute terrible person. You know what I mean?
100%.
And the one thing
Especially
about
lawyers.
especially lawyers, I'm watching you. The one thing about D&D is like it always brings the player's personality to the forefront. You can't work around. You can't hide who you are when you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's always going to come out one way or another, and it's
very hard. Yeah.
Hopefully, it's a safe place for people to be able to do that. You know, and I think
that's the idea.
That's the idea, and like as a culture and as a society, I think we're working healthily towards creating safe places for people to be able to explore their own, inner psyche a little bit, so that we can understand ourselves and understand the effects that we have on the people around us. Because traditionally that's been something that we've tried to squash down, particularly, you know, in men. You know, squash your feelings down, don't engage with that, and it's created a very unhealthy environment. It's created a lot of unhealthealthy relationships.
What was that word you said? Is it something with an F? I missed it.
No, I'm gonna have to
feelings or feelings or something, or
say what?
Feelings.
Yeah, that's the one.
Feelings. Oh, jeez.
I think it's like a French word or something. I believe it means a whale's vagina.
Feel my leg. Doesn't that feel like a rock? No, if anyone's seen that meme, they know what I'm talking about and why I'm not saying anything else.
Yeah. You know what? I can always edit it out and post.
Yeah.
What do you prefer to do at the moment? I know you've DM'd a couple of things yourself. You've played in a lot of campaigns. Do you prefer to DM? Do you prefer to play?
It's a tough question. There's some elements of GMing that I really, really enjoy, and there's some elements of GMing that I really, really do not enjoy.
Everyone loves scheduling. Scheduling's probably the best part, right?
Oh, that part doesn't even worry me so much. It's more the quantity of time that goes into prepping, right?
Mhm.
And I think I have this idealistic view of what I want the campaign to be like.
Yep.
But I also know that no matter how hard I try, it's going to take some sideways detour
Yeah.
from that.
Mhm.
But I don't mind those parts either as much because I like to be. My daughter's just started talking to a friend in the background. That worked out actually. But also like to, be able to be flexible and roll with those differences and things like that as well. But I think things like map building and putting together a campaign in such a way, like if I grab one of the Wizards of the Coast's campaigns, and they're great, don't get me wrong, there's some really good material out there, but I always find that I get to certain parts of that campaign where either the storyline doesn't fit or something doesn't add up or too much time is spent on one thing and not another, that really bug me. So then I go down that rabbit hole of, well, would I like to come up with my own storyline or something like that? But then there's a whole heap of work in that. It's just this huge thing, and it's something I've been talking to one of my friends about lately, actually, who's not into D&D, but he's just started writing some books, some children's books for like young teens and adults kind of thing. So like an adventure type style based in Australia. I'm really looking forward to what he does with it and how it comes out. But some of those concepts we've often discussed, and I've said, hey man, I reckon you'd really like D&D and you'd get into it. And he goes, yeah, I probably would. And he goes, yeah, you'd probably be great at writing a book. And I said, yeah, maybe I would. But neither of us have ever crossed over. But for me at the moment, I think I have. I'd love to dedicate that time to it, but I'm the kind of guy that'll pick up too many passionate projects at any one time and blindly commit to all of them at once. The painting is a big thing, and I take that to the next level. And I've got the 3D printing side of things, and that's taking some interesting turns lately. And D&D, of course, as well. Sometimes I think I prefer being a player at this time because I've got those other things in my life and work as well. Sometimes it's really nice just to sit down and have someone curate a story for you that you can just play in that landscape of.
Engage in, yeah. It's like that. It's like that age-old sort of, I guess, not really a problem, but it's a fundamental part of D&D and tabletop RPGs. Is like you've got to find that right balance of like improvising and pre-written content, stuff that you have prepared, because at the end of the day we're not all highly successful improvisers and all that kind of stuff, so the stuff that we have prepared is usually better than the stuff that we're going to improvise. And we don't do this like as our job, you know what I mean? We're doing other things, and then we sit down here and we try and improvise and come up with stuff. So, and it's like it's part of a player's responsibility as well to try and engage with the story that's being told by the DM, in a way that doesn't necessarily break the story, so that you can enjoy the story that they've sort of prepared, but enjoy it in a way that is engaging for you. I guess it's everyone's sort of responsibility to make their way through that story. It's not just the DM, but I can see where you're coming from. Like, I've just started again with the Weather Witching Hour. Just being able to sit down and just play and not do hours and hours of, prep work. And if you're anything like me, you over prep like insane. 90% of the stuff that I write down, people don't even see. So I'm tearing my hair out. You sure you don't want to go down that road? I end up just shoehorning it in one way or another. But yeah, it's not easy to do, improvising on the spot. So I can understand like why some people prefer to DM and some people prefer just to play. Playing can be so much, just easier.
Sorry, I had a phone call. Ruined the moment.
Do we need to go? Do we need to go a short break so you can take that phone call?
No, it's all good. It'll be one of those ones that'll go for a while. He's a good bloke, but he doesn't. I haven't said to him, "Hey, I'm doing a stream," and whatever.
Bye.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Kiss and goodbye.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, we're in the middle of a live stream here, Dave. Yeah.
is there anything that you'd
humans.
like to say to the people? No?
Bye,
No?
humans.
Bye? Okay.
Yes, she
good.
said, hi humans, bye humans.
Hi
There we
humans,
go.
bye humans. I wish I could say that
cool.
from time to time. Please.
Now I don't know, just walk through a door or into one or something. I think they're okay. It's all good. They're kids, they're flexible.
Kids these days. Am I right?
Yeah,
So
So,
busy
yeah.
on their TikToks they don't even remember how to use a door.
exactly. They spend too much time looking down and can't look up and see what's in front of them.
Says the two old guys sitting here alive on Twitch.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Chatting away. At least we're looking up.
Well, from time to time. All right. So yeah, you've been playing for a bit. You've been DMing for a bit. Are there any favorite experiences that you've had around the D&D table, or maybe in front of a screen? What is there anything that really stands out? Like,
There's been lots, actually. I was in a campaign before.
if it's not one of my
Become-
campaigns, I'll be very upset.
It wasn't, no. Before coming into the Critverse. And when I let them know I was leaving that campaign, then that GM put a massive amount of effort into how that character exited. But it was really tearing and really beautiful at the same time. That like the people in the campaign were legit like tearing up, and it was really emotional. I thought, holy shit, that was pretty amazing. They did really well with putting that story together in such a way to make so much emotion come out, and I hadn't really experienced that before, and I was a little bit taken a bit aback by that. Now, me personally, my favour, I'm happy if it doesn't get that intense. I'm happy to keep that down a few notches, but it doesn't make it any less impressive what it was. So that was cool. But since that was just a notable memory, because sometimes moving on and things like that can be beautiful too. But yeah, coming into this campaign, I still like. I really enjoyed sort of the start of. We were talking about it earlier, and now I've got a big mental blank. Coming out of the abyss into the, what do we call that campaign? Far Beyond the Void. And just those 2 or 3 episodes doing that transition sort of between the two. I thought they were really cool, really explorative, both from a GM perspective and the players. There was a good excitement, a good buzz, and yeah, I think it was cool.
Yeah, that was something pretty special as well. And Far Beyond the Void still is one of my favorite things that I've DM'd over time. There were some really special moments. A couple of things that come to mind was, of course, the scene in the graveyard. When Ali's character passed away, and
that was emotional too.
That scene with the young ghost boy, the episode before that, where I foreshadowed that happening despite having no idea that it was going to happen. It's just one of those moments that you just.
That was kind of creepy, almost like hair raising at that level.
It was like just completely improvised, and that's the special thing about Dungeons and Dragons, the tabletop RPGs, is that these sort of things happen naturally, as opposed to being pre-written. I'm gonna drop a huge bombshell for you people at home.
Drum roll.
Whatever your favorite D&D or tabletop RPG channel is, if it's one of the big ones that has multiple tens of thousands of fans or viewers, I guarantee you there is some level of what's the right word here? Not script writing, but preparation beforehand, in which the production team, the players, and the DM come together and discuss what the story is going to be before they actually sit down and play it. They are still improvising, but the truth is, when you have a production that is that size, okay, people are on your payroll. This is people's livings. You cannot leave it to chance. Okay, because if you leave it to chance, things are going to go wrong, and people's livelihoods are at stake. Okay, so I just want to throw it out there.
Like Critical Bowl, maybe.
I'm not naming any names. All right, I'm not naming any names. Okay, but I guarantee you there is some level of collaboration between people to make sure that every single episode hits the right notes. When you run a production like ours, small team, no one's making a living off of this. We're 100%. Amateurs. You get those kind of moments, and that's, a lot of people will talk about that. They're like, I don't like such and such channel as much as I used to, because these things don't seem to be sort of happening anymore. That's the reason why. That's the reason why you should be supporting small channels like this one, as well as your favorite channels, because...
So if you want the real 100% raw magic and see that genuine experience...
That's right.
Crit and missed.
There's no acting here, baby. It's all... live on air and unedited for you people at home. You'll get some low lows, but you'll get those high highs as well. And I guarantee you that if you can stick to the absolute rubbish that I put my players through, every now and then you're going to find a little nug.
You know what's something I've been thinking about lately with campaigns and GMing and running campaigns, while we're on that topic and listening to a few different ones, is the pacing, like the tempo of the game and the gameplay and the story and how it's interwoven. There's some really interesting things to play around with, There
is, yeah. That's one of the big places where a lot of the smaller channels fall short, is not the content that they're creating, but the pacing. That's a really, really difficult thing, and it's not even something that I'm good at yet. It's not something that I've sort of nailed down, is finding that right pacing, because you'll find that we spend too much time on something that has absolutely no integral value to the story whatsoever, and then when there's something that's like super important for the story, oh yeah, cool, and move on, you know what I mean? So it's really
I've got this huge shiny plot hook here, or a shadow in a corner there. I'll take the shadow in the corner. I'll spend half an hour on it.
I've had a whole hour of players discussing how to cross a 5-foot wide rope bridge, because I'm sitting there the whole time. That was Far Beyond the Void. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you were. I'm sitting there. I'm just going, please, just cross the bridge.
Just go across. Yeah.
But I only have myself to blame, because I am always working to try and maintain that tension when I should relieve that tension every now and then, so that we can move the story along. So it's my fault at the end of the day. But I'm going to edit that out of this episode.
Relieve that tension, mate.
Speaking of relieving tension, I think we should go on a short break. Stick with us, everybody. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. We're going to go relieve our tension, and we'll be back with more tabletop RPG, D&D stories, as well as miniature painting. So if you want to see Froth's mini, stick with us. We'll be right back.